Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Emma Kotrunada. I'm a medical student from Uniswa. At this time, I will explain about CONSORT checklist in the article, where the title is Outcomes with Intragastric Balance Therapy in BMA less than 35 non-morbid obesity, 10-year follow-up study of an RCT. Okay, the first checklist is identification as a randomized in the title. Identification as a randomized trial in the title is appropriate because there is not word randomized. And the next, 1B. 1B, structure summary of trial design method, results, and conclusion. So this answer is yes, because that is a structure abstract, not descriptive abstract. This is purpose, material and methods, results, and conclusion. And the next, 2A. 2A is scientific background and explanation of rationale. And this answer is with studies generally reporting follow-up of less than 12 months, CONSORT remain over unclear weight loss and comorbidity resolution efficacy in the longer term. And the next, 2B. To be specific, objective, or hypothesis, this answer is the study present outcomes with long-term follow-up of the RCT to evaluate the long-term efficacy of IGB. And the next, 3A, description of trial design such as parallel factorial, including allocation ratio. This answer is a prospective double-blinded randomized control trial or RCT. And the next, 3B, important changes to methods of the trial commencement, with reasons. For in this article, I did not find any method changes, and also in this article for the method to run regularly. And then 4A. 4A, eligibility criteria for participants. This answer, inclusion criteria were patients aged 18 till 60 years, BMA 27 till 35, agreed to undergo invasive weight reduction therapy and intensive follow-up, and without a history of weight reduction less than 5% body weight for 6 months before recruitment. Exclusion criteria were patients with coronary heart disease, controlled hypertension, unstable cerebrovascular or cardiovascular disease, renal disease, liver disease, diabetes mellitus, eating disorder, psychiatric illness, pregnant, or breastfeeding. And the next is 4B, settings and location where the data were collected. The setting where the data were collected was not reported in the article. And then 5. 5. The intervention for each group with sufficient details to allow replication, including how and when they were actually administered. So the answer, patients in the IGB arm underwent placement of Arbora, IGB filling with a 5,000 milliliter and placebo pill for a single 6-month period. Sibutramine arm received diagnostics, endoscopy, and commences at 10 milligram, sibutramine daily for 4 weeks, and then 50 milligram daily for a total duration of 6 months only. And the next, 6A, completely defined pre-specified primary and secondary outcome measures, including how and when they were assessed. The answer, primary outcome were changes in weight reported as total body weight loss or TBWL, percentage TWL, and change in BMA. Secondary outcome were the development of diabetes mellitus and other comorbidities and patient's willingness for further intervention. Institutional Review Board approved this study. And then 6B, any changes to trial outcomes after the trial commences with reason. In this article is not found because in the outcome there are only primary and secondary outcomes, and there is no significant change in the outcome after the trial begins. And then 7a, how sample size was determined. In this article, we cannot find the information about the researchers calculate the participant needed. And then 7b, when applicable, explanation of any interim analysis and solving coordinates. The item of explanation of my interim analysis and solving coordinates is not applicable for this article because the author did not do any interim analysis. And then 8a, method used to generate the random allocation sequence. The author does not report the method used to generate the random allocation sequence generations, such as the use of a table or computer. And then 8b, type of randomization. Type of randomization, details of any restriction such as blocking and block size. In this article, the author does not report the type of randomization. And then 9, mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence, describing any steps taken to control the sequence until interventions were assigned. In this article, this information of mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence is not given. And the next is 10, who generated the random allocation sequence, who enrolled participants, and who assigned participants to interventions. In this article, this information of mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence is not given. And the next is 11a. 11a, if done who was blinded after assignment to intervention, for example, participant co-providers to existing outcomes and how. And the answer is initial phase of prospective double-blinded randomized control trial conducted in 2006 till 2008 with patients randomized to 6-month IGB therapy or oral sibutramine therapy with some endoscopy. Patients in the IGB arm underwent placement of Arbora IGB, filling with 5,000 milliliter and placebo pill for a single 6-month period. Sibutramine arm received diagnostic endoscopy and commenced at 10 mg sibutramine daily for 4 weeks and then 50 mg daily for a total duration of 6 months only. Patient and post-operative data collection were blinded. Patients were informed of their intervention and at 6 months. Before repeat endoscopy for IGB removal for patient in the IGB arm. No patient underwent repeat IGB placement after 6 months. No patient underwent sibutramine therapy beyond 6 months. And then 11b. 11b, if relevant description of the similarity of intervention. This answer, multidisciplinary lifestyle modification advice is provided to both groups. All patients receive education on a balanced hypocaloric diet. All patients were encouraged to achieve target physical activity of at least moderate activity, such as walking, jogging, or cycling for at least 30 minutes daily for 5 days or week. The multidisciplinary time review all patients and all follow-up appointments for up 24 months. The initial trial was registered on clinical trial. And the next, 12A. 12A is statistical method used to compare groups for primary and secondary outcomes. And the answer, statistical analysis were performed using IBM SPSS statistic for Windows version 25. Continuous variables were presented as mean, less and more, standard deviation, and categorical data as number or percentage. Comparative analysis performed by t-test square, two-way repeated measure ANOVA, and man-Whitney U-test were appropriate. A-B value of less than 0.5 was considered statistically significant. And then 12b. Methods for additional analysis such as subgroup analysis and adjusted analysis. In this article, the item is not applicable because the author did not report the subgroup analysis. And then 13a. 13a, for each group, the numbers of participants who were randomly assigned received intended treatment and were analyzed for the primary outcome. So, this is descriptive participant flow, and then the diagram of participant flow in figure 1, study flow diagram. This is of diagram. And then for 13b, for each group lists an inclusion after randomization together with reasons. So 13b is the answer follow-up review at 10 years was deemed inappropriate for two patients that underwent laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy and two patients developed advanced malignancy control group in figure 1. And then 14a, there is defining the periods of recruitment and follow-up. This answer is initial phase and prospective double-blinded randomized controlled trial RCT conducted in 2006 till 2008. And 14b, why the trial ended or was stopped. This answer in this article, it is not explained about that the trial ended or was stopped. And then is 15. The 15 is a table showing baseline demographic and clinical characteristic for each group. And this is a table in the table 1, patient demographic at baseline. And then 16, for each group, number of participants or denominator included in each analysis and whether the analysis was by original assigned group. This answer, there is no information whether the analysis is intention to treat analysis or protocol analysis. And then 18, result of any other analysis performed, including subgroup analysis and adjusted analysis, distinguishing prescriptive from exploratory. This item is not applicable in this article because in the method section, we know that the author did not plan it to. They did not to do other or additional analysis besides primary and secondary analysis. And 19, the checklist is all important harm or unintended effects in each group. And this answer, the author did not report it. And then is 20. 20 checklist is trial limitation addressing sources of potential bias, impression, and if relevant multiplicity if analysis. So this answer is small patient number due to sample size requirement of initial study requirement protocol and the response rate despite the long-term nature of the follow-up are notable limitation. So the limitation of the study is the small sample size or small number of participants included in the study. And 21, generalizability or external validity applicability of the trial findings. So this answer, the information is not given. And then 22, interpretation consistent with result balancing benefits and harm and considering all the relevant evidence. This answer, this study with a 10-year follow-up after a single 6-month IGB intervention represent the cohort with the longest reported follow-up in the literature to our knowledge. Given the chronic nature of obesity and the progressive development of comorbidities. The sibutramine group of our randomized trial served as a practical long-term control group. Our results demonstrate that despite promising TBWL after a single 6-month IGP treatment, weight regain increases over a period of 2 years. And then 34, where the full trial protocol can be accessed if available. So the 3-4 is this answer is the initial trial was registered of clinical trials gov NCT 00355,979. And the last is the checklist is sources of funding and other support, role of funders. So the answer, integracy balance are space-occupying devices first reported in human use 1984 after observing the effect naturally caused babies were. Endoscopic patriotic therapy is a safe treatment option and potentially life-threatening complication of IGP, such as intestinal obstruction, gastric perforation, and pancreatitis, remain rare. Tentil trial of integracy balance have sufficient evidence to warrant a recommendation as an effective short-term adjust and bridge to obesity management. With studies generally reporting follow-up of less than 12 months, concern remain over unclear looks and comorbidity resolution efficacy in the longer term. So, okay, this is all for me, guys. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it can be useful for you. Sorry if there are many mistakes. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye, guys.